2021 is just hitting different for the Patriots organization. 2020 clearly did not go their way. It was a kick in the rear for them to figure out what they actually needed to do this offseason, though. Mariah, Janos, and Evan Lazar are here to talk about it. We've already witnessed the aggressive approach in free agency, Evan, but now with the draft at the end of this month, there's talk of Bill Belichick being more collaborative this time around, actually listening to his scouts and other people's input when going about making decisions. What differences are you already seeing and hearing?
Well, there are quite a few. I think the main one that you see is that Bill Belichick himself hasn't really been on the scouting trail as hard as he has in years past. Last year, big to do about Bill being at the Senior Bowl in Mobile. The Patriots' first three picks, Kyle Duggar, Josh Uche, Anthony Jennings, all Mobile Senior Bowl guys. So I think that was something that they really put a lot of stock into this year. Bill Belichick didn't go to the Senior Bowl. He sent Dave Ziegler down there, the Patriots director of player personnel, and he sent a team of scouts down there. Similarly, a lot of these highly touted quarterback prospects, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, they've sent Elliott Wolf there. They're one of their top scouts, and not Bill Belichick himself. Bill obviously showed up with Josh McDaniels to Alabama's pro day. But I think oftentimes when he goes to Alabama, it's really just to hang out with Nick Saban and not so much to actually be there to do any homework. So I think that there's a lot going on behind the scenes with the Patriots scouting department. Maybe it's that Bill Belichick doesn't want to get teams on his set. Maybe there's a quarterback at the top of the draft. Maybe it's Lance, maybe it's Fields that the Patriots really like, and Bill Belichick doesn't want to tip his hand by showing up himself to these pro days. But also you kind of hope that he's letting his scouts kind of do most of the work. These are the guys that are boots on the ground during the fall season, right? These are the guys that go to these places. They're national scouts, they're local scouts that are actually there watching these players in person, talking to coaches, talking to people on campus. They're the ones that truly understand the inside outs of these prospects, not so much the coach who spent the entire fall season worrying about his own football team and then parachutes in January and hijacks the draft process. I think this time around, the Patriots are trying to go about it a little bit differently, that Bill Belichick is allowing his guys to go out there and do all the homework.
Yeah, and in doing so, do you think this will actually make a difference?
That's the $1 million question, because I think a lot of the time what happens is with Bill Belichick in the past, at least in recent years, is that he comes into the draft process in January, falls in love with a few prospects, and those are the guys that end up getting taken in April. Whereas in the past, those scouts might have a much different board stacked than what the Patriots have in terms of what Bill Belichick ends up picking. So I think that what we can be hopeful for is a little bit more of a chalk draft, right? Just players that we kind of are accustomed to going early on, or guys that we expect to go early on, I should say. The Patriots actually taking one of those guys, right? So if you're at 15, instead of taking somebody that maybe some other people have going in the second round, they actually take a player at 15 who is a consensus top 15 talent in the draft. I think that's the hope, is we go for name brands. We go for guys that are ranked in those types of ranges. Now, the media doesn't always get it right either. So sometimes those rankings are a little bit off, but I think you can see that hopefully in April at the end of the month with the draft, that we're getting a name brand. We're getting somebody that's supposed to be taken where the Patriots end up taking him, and not a Kyle Duggar or not someone along those lines that kind of comes out of nowhere because Bill Belichick fell in love with him at the Senior Bowl.
Yeah, absolutely. It will definitely be nice if we hear a name that everybody knows already and is familiar with, and you're not like,
you know what?
Kyle Duggar,
right. Kyle Duggar's ends up being a really good player for them as a rookie. So maybe Bill got that one right? And maybe every once in a while he does have a good eye for these things. He's had some success in the past that I've heard about. So maybe you can sometimes see that he does do the right thing every once in a while, but with their recent failures in the draft, and I think the main thing that Robert Kraft mentioned was the Willie McGinnises, the Tom Brady's, these blue chip foundational pieces. Patriots have gotten a lot of nice players in the draft in recent years. Winovich, Damian Harris. I think Kyle Duggar is going to be a good player for them, but they don't have that franchise-changing talent at the top of the draft that they've hit on in recent years. I think that's the guy they're searching for this year.
Yeah, absolutely. So fingers crossed. The draft is just a few weeks away now. I can't wait for it to be over and done with, so we just know what's going on and we can stop guessing. But we're just going to wait until then. For all of our Patriots coverage, head to clnsmedia.com and subscribe to our YouTube channel over at Patriots Press Pass.